Can you feel it? The air is different. And it's not just because we're halfway through the month. It's because heaven has started to move what was stuck. Maybe you've been feeling more sensitive, more restless, with that strange sense that something big is coming, but you can't explain what it is. It's as if your soul already received the call, but your body is still catching up. The truth is, what looked stagnant was only being repositioned, and now the time of response is approaching. That's why friendships may suddenly fade, plans may collapse, paths may shift overnight. You're not losing anything. You're being pulled out of what was only distracting you from your true purpose. The second half of August will be a spiritual filter. Only what is in alignment with your calling will remain. And that applies to relationships, ideas, jobs, directions, even your old versions of yourself. You'll notice things accelerating, but in a selective way. Some doors will open with ease. Others will close without explanation, and the secret is not to force, it's to discern. Heaven is preparing you for something that cannot be lived with the same old habits. So listen more closely, feel more deeply, and walk with more awareness. Do you feel this shift in the air? Then stay with us, because what's coming in the second half of this month will reveal more than you can imagine. Something shifted in you recently, even if you can't explain it. Maybe you've been more tired than usual. Maybe you've had sudden urges to isolate yourself, cancel plans, or simply withdraw without knowing why. Or maybe you've been feeling emotions rising out of nowhere, tears, longing, even bursts of clarity that vanish as quickly as they came. This isn't random. The first half of August wasn't silent. It was preparation. Heaven has been repositioning you without noise, without grand announcements, without signs that the world could recognize. It's been happening in the invisible first, and now it's ready to shift into the visible. Chosen ones rarely receive change in obvious ways. God works behind the curtain, rearranging people, paths, and possibilities until suddenly what looked blocked starts opening and what looked permanent starts dissolving. If you've noticed people pulling away from you, don't panic. If you've felt doors closing, don't resist. This isn't loss, this is pruning. Certain connections cannot walk with you into the next stage. Certain distractions must leave so that the answers you've been praying for can finally arrive. And maybe you've already felt it, that inner nudge that something is ending, even if nothing outside of you confirms it yet. Have you ever felt that? Like you've been called inward while the rest of the world keeps spinning? That's not your imagination, that's heaven, clearing the noise so you can hear more clearly. The second half of this month will bring activations that require a different version of you. Not the one still attached to old cycles, not the one still holding on to familiar patterns, but the one who's willing to trust the shift, even without all the answers. And that's why you've been feeling unsettled. Your soul already knows what your body and mind are still catching up to. It's realignment. It's divine repositioning. It's heaven, moving the pieces of your life without asking for your permission, but always for your preparation. The truth is, August has always been a month of transition. This year, that transition is sharper, faster, and more selective than before. What doesn't align will fall away, and what is meant for you will accelerate suddenly. So if you've felt confusion, exhaustion, or even loneliness in these first weeks, breathe. You're not being punished. You're being cleared. You're being reset so that what comes in the second half of this month doesn't find you cluttered with distractions, old habits, or unhealed attachments. Think about it. What are you still holding on to out of fear, not truth? What parts of you are surviving out of habit, not faith? This is what August has been revealing quietly. And in the second half, it won't be so quiet anymore. Delays you've been frustrated with are not rejections. They've been recalibration. Things you thought were stagnant were only being realigned. And now those alignments will begin to show themselves. The test here is not whether you understand everything right away. The test is whether you can trust the movement when it doesn't look like progress yet. You see, heaven doesn't measure readiness by how much you know. Readiness is measured by how much you're willing to release. Are you ready to let go of the weight of what no longer matches who you are becoming? Are you ready to stop forcing what drains you and finally surrender to what brings peace? Because this is what's at stake in the first half of August. Not the things you lost, but the space they made for what's on its way. And if you feel the heaviness of this shift in your body, don't mistake it for weakness. That fatigue is recalibration. That restlessness is alignment. That silence you've been walking through is not abandonment. It's the sound of heaven working on your behalf. So pause for a moment. Look back at the last 2 weeks. What has quietly slipped out of your life? What has shifted inside of you with no explanation? Those were not accidents. They were signs. And if you've been feeling like something in you is about to snap, to turn, to awaken, you're right. Because the first half of August was never meant to complete you. It was only meant to prepare you. The real unveiling starts now. Why what's hidden will start to appear. Have you felt like something has been moving in the background of your life, but you can't fully see it yet? Like heaven has been working behind the scenes, arranging pieces, revealing clues, but not showing you the entire picture. That's exactly what has been happening. And in the second half of August, what has been hidden will begin to surface. Not symbolic revelations, practical ones. Truths that change your decisions, your relationships, your perspective of yourself and of others. Things you tried to ignore, truths you didn't want to face, feelings you buried. All of them will demand your attention now. This isn't punishment. This is mercy. Because the illusions you've been living under cannot carry you into what heaven has prepared. Think back. How many times did you sense something in your body, your chest, your intuition, and you pushed it away, hoping it would disappear? You wanted control. You wanted normal. But normal is no longer an option. Awakening is. And when you awaken, certain masks fall. People's intentions become clear. Your own patterns get exposed. Even desires you thought were yours reveal themselves as borrowed, projections of what others expected of you. Can you see why this unveiling is necessary? Because if you keep walking blind, you carry weights that were never yours to begin with. You may notice someone close to you showing a side you never wanted to see, or truths that were hidden suddenly being spoken. Or even within yourself, you admit what you always knew but were afraid to confess. This can hurt. It can make you angry. It can make you question why you didn't see it sooner. But don't get stuck there. The pain is temporary. The freedom is permanent. Because nothing revealed now will be truly new to your soul. Deep down, you always knew. Your spirit already recognized the energy. Your body already felt the dissonance. It's your mind that has been catching up. And here's the key. The sensitivity you've been feeling lately, the emotion, the heightened awareness, the way you notice details others overlook. That's not weakness. That's radar. That's your spiritual discernment being sharpened, preparing you to read between the lines, to catch what isn't spoken, to notice the subtle shifts. Why is this important? Because what's coming in the second half of August won't always scream loudly. It will whisper. It will show itself in small cracks, in conversations that don't sit right, in opportunities that look golden but feel hollow, in people's actions not matching their words. Can you trust that radar? Can you stop waiting for proof and start believing the vibration you feel? Because heaven doesn't expose to embarrass you. Heaven exposes to release you. It shows you what is false so that you stop wasting time holding it together. It reveals the counterfeit so that the authentic can finally take its place. This is why you might cry more easily now, why you might feel emotions bubbling up. It's not breakdown, it's breakthrough. You're clearing out the illusions so that the truth has space to land. And yes, this can feel messy. It's like opening a window after years in a locked room. At first, the light hurts your eyes. But then you begin to see clearly what was hidden in the dark. The dust, the clutter, the things you forgot you had been carrying. Now you can finally clean it. That's what August is doing. It's opening windows. It's pulling back curtains. It's shining light into corners you thought you could keep hidden. And at first it may sting. But then you'll breathe deeper. You'll feel lighter. You'll stand freer. Ask yourself, is there something surfacing in your life right now? A truth you'd rather not face, but deep down, you already know it's real. That's your invitation. That's heaven, saying it's time. Don't resist it. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. Because the sooner you accept what's being revealed, the sooner you step into alignment. Revelation is not there to break you. It's there to redirect you. And while at first it may feel like loss, soon you'll realize it was protection all along. So when something gets revealed in these coming days, don't panic, don't collapse. Smile through the tears, knowing heaven never exposes to leave you empty. It only removes what was never truly yours, so that the real blessing can finally reach you. Have you noticed how every time you get close to a breakthrough, something shows up to pull your focus? It could be a person reappearing out of nowhere, an opportunity that looks too good to pass up, or even an emotion that suddenly drags you back into old patterns. That's not coincidence. That's the test. Because there is a razor-thin line between distraction and direction, and in the second half of August, you will be asked to discern which one you're facing. Not every open door is a divine invitation. Not every shining offer is aligned with your calling, and not every familiar connection is meant to return to your life. How many times have you entered something just because it looked golden, only to find it drained your energy and stole your peace? How many times did you confuse repetition with destiny, mistaking a familiar cycle for a divine sign? This is where heaven sharpens the chosen ones, by showing you that discernment is not about what looks good. It's about what feels aligned in your spirit. Distraction often comes dressed as opportunity. It looks urgent, tempting, irresistible. But direction, true direction, carries peace, even in the unknown. Direction may feel slow at first, but it never leaves you empty. Distraction promises quick satisfaction, but its fruit is always confusion anxiety, and wasted energy. So the question becomes, can you feel the difference? When something new comes your way in these days, will you run toward it blindly or pause long enough to ask if it carries peace or just pressure? Heaven doesn't want you chasing everything that glitters. Heaven wants you anchored in what is truly yours. And the only way to know is to trust the radar inside you. Your spirit, your body, your intuition. Have you noticed lately how your body reacts before your mind does? That subtle unease when something isn't right? That lightness when something is? That's not random. That's guidance. The truth is, the greatest battles of the chosen aren't between obvious good and evil. They're between what looks right and what is right. Between the distraction that flatters your ego and the direction that feeds your purpose. And this month, both will show up. Some distractions will come in the form of people resurfacing, not because they have truly changed, but because your light disturbs them and they're pulled back toward you, not to bless, but to derail. Other distractions will look like golden chances, but if you lean in, you'll feel the hollowness beneath the shine. The fine line is subtle, almost invisible, and that's why heaven is sharpening your spiritual sensitivity now. Because you can't afford to keep repeating cycles that only waste your time. You've carried those patterns long enough. So here's the key. Test the fruit. What does it produce in you? Real direction produces peace, strength, and inner confirmation, even when it's hard. Distraction produces weight, confusion, and compromise, even when it looks attractive. Think about your life right now. What has shown up in these last days that feels urgent, shiny, even familiar? And when you check in with yourself, does it leave you with peace or with pressure? That answer is the line. And yes, it takes courage to say no to distraction, especially when it looks like everything you thought you wanted. But remember, heaven never calls you back to what once enslaved you. Heaven only calls you forward into what sets you free. You may have to turn down offers that everyone else says are perfect. You may have to walk away from connections that make sense to your mind, but not to your spirit. You may have to stand in silence when the world tells you to hurry. That's not loss. That's wisdom. Because in the second half of August, the difference between distraction and direction will determine more than just this month. It will shape the rest of your year. It will mark whether you stay circling in old cycles or step into the path heaven has been preparing all along. So don't confuse familiarity with destiny. Don't confuse urgency with alignment. And don't confuse noise with truth. Pause. Listen. Trust what you feel. Because the line is thin, but your spirit already knows which side is real. When everything around you looks uncertain, what rises in you first? Fear or faith? Most people say faith, but the truth is, when the silence stretches too long or the path feels too unclear, fear is often louder. And this is exactly where the chosen ones are being tested right now. Not in how much you know, but in how much you trust. The kind of faith heaven is waiting for in the second half of August is not shallow. It's not the kind you speak of lightly, just quoting scriptures or repeating affirmations. It's living faith, practical faith, faith that still moves when nothing makes sense, Faith that still believes when everything screams that you should give up. Faith that doesn't demand proof before it steps forward. Have you noticed how easy it is to talk about faith when things are flowing smoothly? But real faith isn't proven in comfort. It's revealed in contradiction. It's revealed when the door stays closed longer than you wanted, when the prayer seems unanswered, when people you trusted walk away and nothing explains why. That's when heaven leans in and asks, "Will you still believe me here?" This isn't about blind faith. It's not about pretending you don't feel pain, fear, or doubt. True saved faith looks fear in the eyes and still chooses to believe. It admits the struggle, but refuses to surrender to it. It stands firm, even trembling. And here's what many forget. Faith is not an emotion. It's a decision. You don't need to feel strong to stand in faith. You only need to decide that no matter what, you're not letting go of the promise heaven placed in your heart. This month, that decision will matter more than ever. Because the second half of August won't be about easy confirmations. It will be about holding on when the answer hasn't arrived yet. It will be about standing still when distractions and doubts circle around you. It will be about proving to yourself that your trust is anchored, not shaken by every delay. Maybe you've felt the weight of unanswered prayers. Maybe you've been wondering if what you sensed was just your imagination. Maybe you've been tired of waiting, questioning if you even heard correctly in the first place. These are not signs of weakness. They are the very conditions where faith is refined. Think of it like fire. Gold is not purified in cool air. It's purified under intense heat. And your faith is being purified the same way. Through pressure, through waiting, through silence. So what kind of faith is heaven waiting for? Faith that doesn't collapse when the timeline shifts. Faith that doesn't crumble when others doubt you. Faith that can stand in the dark because it knows the light is inevitable. Ask yourself, how many times has heaven confirmed your calling? How many dreams, signs, whispers, and inner knowings have you already received? So why doubt now just because the evidence hasn't shown up yet? The delay is not denial. The silence is not rejection. It's preparation. And your faith in this season is the bridge that carries you from where you are to what's already waiting. Yes, it feels heavy. Yes, you may cry. Yes, you may question. But if you decide, even in weakness, I will still believe, that decision carries more weight in heaven than you know. Because heaven isn't measuring how perfect your journey looks. Heaven is watching whether you can keep walking, even if it's one small step at a time. So don't let the enemy convince you that faith is about having no fear. Faith is moving forward, even while fear whispers in your ear. Faith is choosing to trust what you can't see because your spirit already knows it's real. And this is exactly what the second half of August is shaping in you. Not fragile faith, but unshakable faith. Faith that doesn't just survive, it establishes you. Faith that becomes the foundation of everything you will step into next. So hold the line, stand firm. Even if your knees shake, even if your heart feels weary, don't let go. Because what's coming after this test will demand strong foundations. And your faith is the foundation being built right now. Heaven isn't asking you to understand everything. Heaven is asking you to trust anyway. And that trust will carry you into the very things you've been waiting for. Silence can feel unbearable. It feels like nothing is moving. It feels like heaven has gone quiet. And for many of the chosen ones right now, that's exactly what you've been walking through. A season where the louder you pray, the quieter it seems to get. But silence does not mean absence. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is often the answer itself. Because silence forces you to turn inward. It strips away the noise of constant confirmations, signs, and external voices. It leaves you face to face with what's already inside of you, your intuition, your spirit, your inner knowing. And that's the place where your trust is truly revealed. Have you noticed this pattern? When you first receive a word, a sign, or a dream, it feels alive and undeniable. But then the silence sets in. Days, weeks, sometimes months, without any visible confirmation. That's when doubt creeps in. Maybe I made it up. Maybe I heard wrong. Maybe it wasn't meant for me. This is the test of silence. It's not about whether heaven can speak louder. It's about whether you can hold on to what was already spoken when nothing outside is echoing it back to you. Think of it like a parent teaching a child to walk. At first, the parent holds their hands, but eventually they let go. Not because they've stopped caring, but because they know the child can take steps now. That's what silence is. Heaven letting go for a moment so you can discover the strength already inside you. And here's the secret: silence speaks. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It nudges. It shows up as a sudden sense of peace when you think of one choice, and a knot in your stomach when you think of another. It shows up in the way your dreams repeat a certain theme, in the way you feel relief when you imagine letting go of something you've been forcing. Are you paying attention to those whispers? Because in this season, that is the answer. The silence you're walking through is training you to recognize the voice of heaven in subtlety, not just in signs written across the sky. And once you master that, you'll never be easily deceived again. Because while noise can fool you, silence never lies. Think about it. How many times have you ignored that subtle sense in your spirit only to regret it later? And how many times did you follow it, even against logic, and later realized it saved you? That's how silence works. It sharpens your trust in what cannot be explained, but is undeniably real. In the second half of August, silence will be one of your greatest teachers. Answers won't always show up in dramatic ways. Instead, they'll arrive in stillness, in patience, in waiting long enough for your inner clarity to rise to the surface. So instead of panicking when nothing seems to be happening, shift your perspective. Ask yourself, what is the silence trying to show me? Is it asking me to rest? Is it asking me to stop forcing? Is it asking me to let go of distractions so I can finally hear my own soul? Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is recalibration. It's alignment. It's heaven. Clearing the stage so that when the answer comes, you'll know it wasn't noise, it was truth. And here's the most powerful part. Even if you make a mistake in this silence, heaven will redirect you. Silence is never a trap. It's a safe space to learn trust, a place where you discover that your connection to heaven isn't fragile. It's strong enough to carry you, even without constant signs. So don't see the silence of these days as rejection. See it as intimacy, because only those closest to God learn to hear Him in the quiet. And that's the kind of intimacy you're being invited into now. If you can trust in silence, you'll never be shaken by noise again. And if you can rest in silence, you'll recognize that the answer was always inside of you. So breathe. Stop searching so hard. Stop waiting for thunder when heaven has already whispered. The silence is your answer. Every new level requires proof. Not proof to heaven, because heaven already knows who you are, but proof to yourself. Proof that you've truly learned what this month has been teaching you. That's why the last days of August will feel like a test. But don't panic. This isn't a test designed to make you fail. It's a test designed to reveal your strength, to show you just how much you've grown. And the test won't look like something new. It will look familiar. Patterns you thought you were done with may try to circle back. Old cycles may reappear in new disguises. People you already released may suddenly return. Opportunities that once tempted you may sparkle again, this time louder, harder to ignore. That's because heaven doesn't test you with strangers. Heaven tests you with the patterns you already know. The question is, will you fall into them again? Or will you finally choose differently? This is what the end of August will expose. Whether you can recognize distraction for what it is, whether you can trust silence without fear, whether you can hold on to faith when nothing makes sense, whether you can stay aligned when everything around you shakes. And here's the truth. The test is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about showing that your heart belongs to the new, not the old. That your spirit has outgrown the cycles that once trapped you. That your discernment is sharper, your faith stronger, your readiness deeper. Maybe the test will come through an unexpected delay. Maybe it will come through someone resurfacing just when you are finally at peace. Maybe it will come through a choice that forces you to decide between comfort and calling. Whatever form it takes, you will know. Because your body, your spirit, your inner radar will recognize it. The enemy will try to make you think it's punishment, but heaven is reminding you it's confirmation. You're being shown that you no longer fit where you once belonged. You're being shown that you no longer settle for what you once accepted. You're being shown that you are no longer the same person who entered this month. And that's why the final days of August may feel heavier, sharper, more intense, because the closer you are to crossing over, the louder the distractions try to pull you back. But don't give in. Don't retreat. Don't forget how far you've already come. Think of it like the final lap of a race. Your body screams to stop, but the finish line is right ahead. If you quit now, you lose what was already within reach. So stand firm. Hold your ground. Say no to what once seduced you. Say yes to the unknown that feels like peace. And above all, remember, the test is proof of your readiness. By the time September arrives, you will see clearly why August had to press you so hard. It wasn't cruelty, it was preparation. It wasn't punishment, it was positioning. And the weight you feel now will turn into clarity once you cross over. So when the last days come and you feel the pressure rise, don't crumble. Smile inside, knowing this is not my ending. This is my proving ground. This is heaven, showing me I'm ready for what's next. The test isn't meant to break you. It's meant to reveal that nothing can.